Hi, welcome back to Katrina's Creations. This is episode 82. So let's get started. I've gotten a bit of knitting done this week. We went out to Ohio to visit our son and daughter-in-law and 4 of the grandbabies. So it's a 7-hour drive, 7.5-hour drive each way. So I got lots of knitting on the way out and a little bit done on the way back because it was dark, so I couldn't knit a whole lot then. So let's get started, and we're also going to talk about blocking, blocking your finished projects, how to do it, and what it looks like. So, and comparisons of blocked versus non-blocked. So let's get started. This is the last week of our yarn giveaway. Here is the yarn. It is Voolenvine yarns, and here it is. And I will be closing the giveaway on the 31st of May, and I will announce the winner next week, which will be the June 2nd episode. Now, to enter, you're allowed 1 entry per week, and like I said, this is the 4th week, so if you haven't watched the other 3, you can go back and put your name in. All you have to do is give me a thumbs up. You must be a subscriber. Give me a thumbs up. The thumbs up are really important because the more thumbs up I get, the more my video is recommended to other viewers. So that helps the channel overall. So, and this week's prompt is going to be, are you a knitter, a crocheter, or both? So just let me know. And, yeah, this is the yarn. It is 400, there's 400 yards. So I have had some people say they'd like to make a sweater or a shawl out of this. You're not going to, this is not a sweater's quantity of yarn. 400 yards knitted. Most sweaters you're going to need at least 1,200 yards, but you could combine this with some other colors to make a sweater out of it. And a shawl, it would probably be more of a neck shawl, something small like the hitchhiker shawl would look gorgeous in this. Or again, you can combine it with other colors if you wanted your shawl to be a little bit bigger. So anyway, it is a 80-20, which means it's 80% superwash BFL and 20% nylon, and it is a fingering sock weight. So there it is, and the colors are pretty true to color today. It's a little dark in the background here today, and I'm not quite sure why, because it's a sunny day outside. We have had so much rain, and on our way back from Ohio, it rained so hard at one point we had to pull off the side of the road. We saw a trailer tipped over, everything, because we've had a lot of flooding. But the sun is out today, and yeah, there's not a cloud in the sky. Just looked out the window to double check. Because I do live in Pennsylvania, and the weather can change from one minute to the next. So let's get on with my works in progress. I have no finished objects this week, but I have made some good dents into my works in progress. So my first thing is my Été chic, which I did look up. It means summer chic, or yeah, chic, meaning kind of like a, you know, boutique-y, I guess, or fancy. Here's what it looks like. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, and you can see it has like a lacy edge. Let's see if I get this close. It has a lacy edge along the side. It's not a deep shawl. It's more like a type of like a neck scarf type of thing that you would wear around just to kind of dress up a collar. So I am doing this in some yarn I got from Grindstone Yarn Company, or Grindstone Spinnery. It is an aqua type of color, kind of a seafoam green, and it has some light and dark spots. Last week when I showed you this, I had 9 of these little points. There's 60 altogether that you have to start. You actually knit the lace part first, and then you pick up stitches along the edge here, and you do a bunch of short rows to fill in the rest, and it's just garter stitch. So I am now up to 31 or 32 of the little teeth. So I'm about halfway, and it's about half of my wingspan. I can hold it from one arm stretched all the way out to the other. So it's about 3 feet. So this is going to be good sized, but it's not deep. So it should have enough to wrap around and hang down a little bit. So again, this is called the Été chic. It is a free pattern. It comes in French and in English. The translation from the French I have run into a couple of spots that the translation has a little bit of question to it, but I can figure it out. It won't be hard. I have been housing this in my Yarn Ball Buddy, which is also a free pattern on Ravelry, and this has been designed by one of our viewers. This is knit by Yoka, and hers has snaps. Mine I did with a drawstring. I am absolutely loving this, and I'm getting all kinds of use out of it because I could just hang this on my arm and knit while we were going down the road. I didn't have to worry about the ball rolling around. And I actually took this to knit night the other night and worked on this, and everybody that was there was checking out the Yarn Ball Buddy. So Yoka, very popular. Everybody liked it at knit night and said, oh, we got to check that pattern out. So that also is a free pattern on Ravelry. So I have that project going on. Then I have the cotton sweater that I've been, once again I dropped a ball of yarn. This is the cotton sweater that I have been working on, and I've made a lot of progress on this week because not only did I have 2 meetings this week, but I could knit this in the car when we were coming home in the dark because at this point it's just stockinette stitch. So here is, let's flip up, here's the ribbed edge, which is just a ribbed edge here and then some yarn overs just for a little design. And then it is all stockinette. You can see right here, that was my progress keeper from last week. And I have knit probably about 2.5 inches all the way up here. One of my acquisitions this week was another ball of the solid yarn. I'm using 2 different balls of yarn. One is Lana Grossa, and that one I have plenty of. But the solid gray that I have, I was running out of. So I got this at my local yarn store. This is called Baby Show. It used to be available on eBay. I looked for it because someone else asked about it, and I can't find it anymore. So the dog just came up. If you notice, the door over here popped open. We do not have ghosts. That's the dog. She's a Chihuahua, so you can't see her, but she just opened up the door. Anyway, there is... and I hear her little pitter-patter. There is what it looks like. This doesn't have a colorway. It's just kind of a light ashy gray. So, and it is a cotton bamboo. All of the yarn in this is a cotton bamboo. It's going to be a drop shoulder tee, basically. It's just going to be very simple. And I have some little black beads that I might put in the neckline. Not sure yet. So that is that project. Then I was working on my Barton cardigan. I made a long ways with my Barton cardigan. Well, for this pattern, I made a long ways. Here's the front of this. This is one that I've talked about before where it is steeped. This will get cut open when I'm finished. And you can see from right here at my stitch marker, this is where I left off last week. So I've actually knit about 2 inches here. I have finished the gusset, because there was 2 gussets on the sides. I have finished the gusset. I'm now working on the bust section, and then it will when I finish that, it will separate for the sleeves. And I have about 2 inches to go of that, because you're supposed to measure from the bottom cast on up to just under your arm, and it should be, for me, 17 inches, based on the length I want my jacket or my sweater to be. And I'm at 15 inches right now. And this pattern, I've showed it before, but in case you haven't watched, I'll show you again. This is very intricate. It's one of the more intricate patterns I've ever done. I mean, I've done some lace shawls that were pretty intricate, but this is literally cables like this, and it goes the entire way around the sweater. It goes all the way up to the yoke, and it goes all the way on the sleeves. So, and someone asked, is this itchy? Yes, it is. Once I block it and wash it and block it, some of the scratchiness will go away, but this is not something that you would wear against your skin. It's, in all honesty, it's really not horrible, but it's meant to be a cardigan, so it's going to be pulled over top of, over top of a blouse or a sweater anyway. So, or a shirt. So it's not going to be like right up against my skin. But I do like it. I like the way it is knitting up, and it's a nice neutral kind of oatmeal color. So I think it will go with a lot because I wear a lot of tan. So it will go with that. So that is that project, and then we come to my new project. Well, it's not new. This is new to me craft, I should say, which is crochet. Now, you all know that last week I showed the virus shawl, and I realized that I was starting at the color I wanted to end with because I didn't know which direction the pattern went from. So thank you to all of you who instructed me that I was going the wrong direction. So I ripped that out and I started over, and I can say that, no pun intended, well, yes, pun intended, the virus shawl is contagious. I started knitting or crocheting on this in the car, and I had a hard time putting it down to work on a different project, because on the trip I took all 3 of the projects I showed you except for the cardigan with the cables, because I knew there was no way I was going to be able to concentrate because there's too many charts. I took all the other 3 with me, and I had a hard time getting around to working on them because I wanted to play with this. So here it is so far. Make sure I'm showing the front from the back. There's the back. Okay, here we go. And here it is so far. I kept telling myself, just one more round, and then I'll go, well, let me finish this row. No, maybe I'll do this row, and then I'll stop. So, yes, the virus shawl is contagious, but I am having a lot of fun with it. It is probably about a foot out in each direction right now. This is a cotton yarn that I'm using. And I have 2 skeins of this color yarn, and I believe there were 315 yards in each of the skeins. And I divided those skeins. When I balled them up, they came out into 3 balls. So I'm almost finished the first ball. And then at the very end, I want to edge this with a yarn that's very similar in color to this, but the gray actually turns into a deep blue. So, anyway, this is my virus shawl. And it's not as hard as I anticipated it being. And thank you for all of you all that have recommended tutorials for me, because that has been a lot of help. I am fairly new to more detailed crochet. I just made granny squares and striped blankets before. I had never done anything like this, so I'm enjoying it, and I'm not sure what my next project will be, but I am looking around for when I finish this one. So that has been my project on my virus shawl, and it is being crocheted with a 3.5 millimeter hook. So just in case you needed to know that. Now, I did want to share that one of our viewers has a finished object. It is a quilt. Yoko, the designer of the Yarn Ball Buddy, sent me a picture. She was one of my test knitters for the Keeping You in Stitches shawl as well. So Yoko and I have gotten to know each other fairly well and had a lot of fun. So she sent me a picture, and it is on Facebook. So if you do subscribe to the Katrina's Creations, we have a Facebook page. It's called Katrina Knits. Now, I do have 2 Facebook accounts. I have a personal one, and I have the one that's for the YouTube channel. If you ask to be a friend on my personal one, I don't put friends on that one, because that one is it's just for my relatives and my church friends. So the ones that are connected with the YouTube go under Katrina Knits. So if you would like to be a friend, just go over there and request to be one, and I will click and say yes, and then you can check out all the fun that we are doing over there. So Yoko finished a quilt, and she sent me a picture in my email so I could see it, and I saw it on Facebook as well. And it's gorgeous. It's a bunch of pink circles, but they're like overlaid. They almost look like they're overlaid. It's kind of an optical illusion. And it's on a black background, and it really, really is pretty. I like pink anyway. But it reminded me, I told her it reminds me of the Amish quilts that we have in this area, in the Lancaster area, and where I live in the Gettysburg area. There are a lot of what are called plain people, which would include the Amish, the Mennonite, some of the Brethren. There's some other little sects. There's Dunkers. The plain people, they dress very, very plainly. Most of the women wear prayer caps. But they're known for, the Amish especially are known for their quilts. And their quilts, of course, are made from the scraps from their clothing. And the Amish don't wear print fabrics. They only wear solid. So the quilts that they make have a lot of black on them as far as for the background, because if they're single, they wear an apron over top of their dress that is white, and it has like a little pinafore top to it. But if they're, if they're single, it's white. If they're married, then the bib part and the apron are black. They also wear a white prayer cap. You can usually tell which ones are the stricter sects based on how big the prayer cap is. So the Amish are probably the most strict, and then there's the Mennonite, who will wear the same pattern of dress, but they will wear print styles, and they tend to have like a cape that's built into the top of the bodice of the dress. And then the Brethren most of the time just wear dresses, but they don't have a set style of dress that they wear. Anyway, it reminds me of the quilts that are very popular in Lancaster County, which is about an hour up the road from me, that have the black backgrounds because, like I said, they have lots of black material from their dresses. And they wear a lot of jewel tones, as well as like pinks and purples. You don't see them wearing bright yellows. They wear mostly jewel tone colors that are solid. And so they use those scraps to make their quilts with it. So you will see a lot of these quilts, and they look so vibrant because they have the black background. It just really makes the other colors pop on them. They almost remind me of stained glass windows. So anyway, they are very popular, and they actually are very expensive if you try to buy one. And that reminds me, we did have a question by somebody a while back asking me about some of the Amish and some of the plain people. Do they knit in a different way, or do they knit or crochet in a different way than what we would? In all honesty, I don't know that they knit or crochet a whole lot, because most of their accessories are going to be in black. They maybe would crochet a baby blanket or knit a baby blanket in some other color. But as far as their clothing would be, the only thing I've seen them wear that is possibly knit, the Amish women will wear like a shawl in the wintertime that's black. And it's not pointed in the back. It's squared off in the back. They don't angle some of their corners. So it's squared off in the back. I've never been up close to look at one of them, but they look like they might be knit or crocheted. But other than that, most of their items they're all hand sewn, but they don't wear a lot of embellishment at all. They don't wear jewelry. They all have the same pattern for their dress that they use. So they don't really have a whole lot of knit or crochet. The most they would maybe have is if they've done some of it to decorate their house with. They don't have curtains. The Lancaster Amish don't have curtains in their houses. They'll have window shades, but they don't have curtains. But they might do doilies or something for inside their house. So I hope that answers that question. But anyway, let's see, what else can I show you? Oh yes, our blocking. I thought it would be interesting because I had somebody ask me a little question about blocking a while back. And I said, well, I can show you how to do that. I have done another video on how to wash, your finished project. And in that particular video, I also showed how I had hung it up. Because sometimes I take my shawls, if they're not too long, I actually hang them in the laundry room. I have wire shelving that I put my detergent and stuff on, and I have clothespins in there. I don't have a clothesline outside. We live in a condominium. I have a little backyard, but I don't have a clothesline. So when I block something in my laundry room, I have stretched it out, if it's not too long, on my wire shelving, and then I use clothespins and I tie it to, clip it to that and stretch it out. And then I use weights that I made that hang to pull the project down so it stretches it out. But I have in my acquisitions this week, my mother gave me some blocking boards. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what those are, but I want to show you the difference with blocking to begin with. I did these two swatches with knitting because I'm not an experienced enough crocheter to show you a bunch of stitches to be able to show you the difference. So this is the first swatch. Okay, now this section down here is garter stitch. This is simple yarn overs, which creates a lace effect. And then up here is stockinette. Now this piece is probably maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide and probably about 2 inches long. It's 10 inches or 10 stitches across. So this is what it looks like. I did not block this. This one I did block. This is the exact same size, 10 stitches across, but I want you to see the difference of how the stitches opened up and the difference in size. I'll put this way. Here you go. You can see this is quite a bit longer. It's probably about 1/4 inch longer than the other one. It's also about 1/4 inch wider. So when I hold them like this, you can really, and you can see this one's wanting to curl over. This one's not because it's been stretched and pulled out, which is what blocking does. So here you can see the two together. But if you look at this, look how the eyelet has opened up. The stitches are much more defined. You can see the points right here that form as they go into the pattern. And here's the garter stitch. This one, you can't see those points as well defined. This looks like a tangled up jumble. And this is the garter stitch, but it's really, it's nowhere near as defined as this is. So there you can see the difference. Now, I'm going to show you how to, I'm going to pull out the blocking boards. My mother has a knitting machine that she doesn't use very often. She hasn't used it for quite a few years actually, but the blocking boards came with it. Prior to this one, I needed to block something that I wanted to lay flat. I went to the store and you can buy blocking boards like from Knit Picks and things, and they're like little rubber foam puzzle pieces that all hook together. You can buy those, there's nothing wrong with those. But if you go to like Walmart, or in my case I went to Ollie's, which is a discount store, I got children's rubber puzzle pieces, and I think I paid $3.99 for them. They're the same thing, except mine have little duckies and animals in the middle of them. I really don't care. They're cheaper. So that's what I used prior to this. But now I'm going to set the blocking boards up and show you what they are and what blocking wires are, because you'll hear people talk about blocking wires, so I'm going to show you that as well. These are blocking boards right here. Now there's 3 of them. I've got them folded out. They almost look like a wall, like a screen for, you know, in a room screen. They're covered with muslin, and they have foam inside them, and they basically do the same thing as the rubber puzzle piece that I was talking about. But these you can lay this, normally you lay this flat. I've got it standing up so you can see it a little bit better. And this includes blocking wires in it. This is what a blocking wire is. You could do this with a metal coat hanger. It's a little bit thinner than a metal coat hanger, but you could unbend a metal coat hanger and do the exact same thing. What you're going to do is take your project after you've gotten it wet and wrung out most of the water. You're going to use the rod or the wire, and you are going to, in this case, this is a hitchhiker shawl. Along the top where it is the straight edge, right along here, you are going to weave the wire through it. Okay, I have not woven the wire all the way through. This is a very long, wide shawl, or very wide shawl. But you can see the wire is running through it. What you would then do with the blocking board is you would pin the top right along the wire, like this. And then you're going to take each of these little points, and you can see that there are lots of little like teeth edges to this particular shawl. Let's see if I can move this up a little closer so you can see them. Where these little teeth are, while this is still wet, you're going to pull them down, stretch them down as much as you want them to be pulled out, and you're going to pin each of these little points. Grab more pins here. It's going to more clearly define these points when it dries. So you're going to grab each of these points and you're going to pull them down and pin the edges. The thing that the blocking wire does is it gives you a more straight edge to pull down from. So again, you would pull all of these edges out so that they're more clearly defined. And again, I'm not going to do this the whole way across, but this gives you the general idea. And again, it opens up the stitches in here. It will make your shawl bigger, but it also just defines the edges, especially if it has like a lace or a picot edge. You're going to want to have those stand out. If you take all the time to do them, you want them to show. And if this was lace, you wanted to open up, just like the swatch that I showed, opened it up so you could see it better. That's the whole goal with this. Now, if you regularly watch the podcast, you would have noticed that there was something missing on this back wall over here. I normally have a picture up there, but I had a viewer ask about it. They said they liked the picture and they were wondering what it was. So I thought I would take it off the wall and show it to you. This is cross stitch. I used to do a lot of cross stitch. This is cross stitch, and the entire thing, there is not a square on this that is not cross stitched. So here it is. It starts at this side. It's a farm. It is an Amish farm. And there's some Amish people. There is one of the, actually there's some quilts, like what I was talking about. Now this one's white, but the other ones you can see, this one is the black in the background. And there's the other side. Get this closer so you can see it up close. Now you will notice right here, if you look right along here, there's a seam. There's also a seam. Let me see if I can find it. The other seam is right here, right up through the barn, right there. When I originally got this, the only pattern that I saw, and it came out of a magazine, was this center section, which was the house, half of the house and over to half of the barn. I didn't know there were two other sections until a lady saw me making it, a lady at church, and she said, I have the other halves of that. There's actually, it was every month a new piece came out. It was a 3-piece series. So she gave me the other two patterns for the other sides. But at that point, my material wasn't wide enough, so I actually seamed them and spliced them together as I went and ran the stitches over top of where the seams were. So that's why if you look really close, there are seams. But that is the cross stitch that hangs behind me. And it is very, very detailed. It took me quite a while to do. There's people in the field. You can see them there. And there's an Amish buggy and someone on the porch. So, anyway, that is the picture that you usually see behind me. Now, the regular part of the podcast is ending now, so it's about a half hour today. However, I have some footage of our trip out to Ohio. The first part of the video is going to show you part of our drive and some scenery and some landmarks that we go by There was one I was looking for and we couldn't find it. Somehow we drove by it and I missed filming it. Out towards Frostburg, there is a guy back in the 1970s decided to build a replica of Noah's Ark. He got as far as the steel I-beams for the frame up, and they ran out of money, and it's been like that since the 1970s. And I wanted to get a picture for you guys, and we couldn't find it. Somehow we drove right by and it missed it. But anyway, the first part of the video shows you our trip out and some of the high points, and it shows you a little bit of the camp where my son works. He's a outdoor education teacher at a Christian camp, so it'll show you part of that. And the second part shows you Cabela's. Now, if you live in the U.S., you've heard of Cabela's. If you don't, I'll fill you in a little bit. It is a sporting goods shop, but it's huge. It's like giant. If you've heard of LL Bean, it's very similar to LL Bean, just on a little bit smaller scale. But the building itself, we always stop there on the way out to our sons because it's a mid-range point. The bathrooms are clean, which is a really important thing. And it's a good time to be able to walk around and stretch our legs because there's lots of things to look at. No, I'm not into sports stuff. I'm not into hunting or fishing or anything like that. My idea of camping is a hotel room. Yeah. So, but it is fun to walk around because they have aquariums. It's sort of like a cave you walk into, and there's like aquariums on both sides with freshwater fish in it. So I'll show you pictures of that. And then they have several sections where they have taxidermied animals, like in dioramas of their natural habitat. Now, I know not everybody is into taxidermy, and some people do find it offensive. So if you don't want to watch that part of the video, I did put up on the screen that this is the taxidermy section, so you know not to watch that if you don't care to see that. But if you do, or if your husband is into hunting, they'll enjoy it, because there's like one whole section of the store that has like animals you would see on a safari or in Africa. And then it has another section of the store that you walk through this area, and it's all white-tailed deer, which are the type of deer we have in our area. And then there's like a mountain in the middle of the store, and as you walk around the mountain, it's different areas. Like the first part is a mountainous area, and it shows you the animals that would be in the mountainous area. And then you walk further around the little mountain, or well, little, but you walk around the mountain, and there's a polar area, and it shows you animals that would be in the polar regions. And then you walk to another area, and it shows you bears, like grizzly bears and stuff. There's a stream that runs through the middle of the store. So, yeah, it's really neat, and it's a huge store. So I put the footage in there, and otherwise, that is it for this week. Don't forget to enter for the skein of yarn. Again, that giveaway ends on the 31st. So don't forget to put your entry in for this week. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and put down below if you are a crocheter or a knitter or both. If you're interested in anything from Craftsy, Knit Crate, Knit Picks, or Lion Brand yarn, I am an affiliate, so the links are down below for any sales or anything they might be running this week. So if you're interested in those, if you want Knit Crate, they offer you a 20% discount on your first month's subscription of Yarnbox. So that is down below too. Just don't forget to put the coupon code in KatrinasCreations for the Knit Crate. It has to have KatrinasCreations 20 into the coupon code to get the 20% off. But otherwise, all the affiliate links are down below. I do get a commission out of any sales, just to be transparent, let you guys know all that. But I do try to share the sales with you all as I run across them, so that is down below. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week, and thanks again for watching, everybody. Bye. We are in the Catoctin Mountain Park, and it winds up through the Catoctin Mountains, which is part of the Appalachian chain. And this is about a half an hour from our house. And this is actually where Camp David is, where the President of the United States, there's a camp up there, and they hold some meetings, and that's like a retreat place for him. And the curves are very, very sharp. Hope you don't get carsick. There's a creek along the side here. You can see it. That's the Catoctin Creek. It's not really a river, but it's a creek. This is really pretty in the fall when all the leaves are changing. Approaching Sideling Hill, which is a section of mountain that they actually blasted out to drive, so you could drive through. You used to have to go around the mountain, and so it's been quite a few years ago. Let's see if I can get this really close for you. It's pretty wild. Yeah, the lines that you see, that's where it was drilled, and they put the blasting powder in to blow the mountain apart. And there's scenery looking way down. I don't know that you can see it because the light's too bad. We're in West Virginia, and we're getting ready to get into Morgantown. If you watch the Hey Sister podcast, they live somewhere in this general area. Anyway, we're going to go across to Cheat Lake, and on the other side is a landmark Dave and I always watch for. There's some houses built right beside a retaining wall that is collapsing, and every time we go by we wait to see if the houses have fallen down the hillside. And we've been coming this direction for 9 years, and we've just watched it get worse and worse every time we come up. So we'll have to check that out as we go across Cheat Lake in a couple minutes. That's Cheat Lake. Smell burning rubber. This is a truck. Here's our houses. They think they've been abandoned over the years, but they're still there. Here's the bridge right up ahead of us. Where we are crossing the Ohio River. Welcome to Ohio. We are now at the camp where my son works. It's called the Heartland. There's the sign. There's a campground over there where if you have a trailer and you're staying here, you can camp. And there's a nature center. And they have high ropes, and they have a zip line and a pool and archery range. There's an observatory because they have some trails and wetlands. There's one of the trails, and there's a couple of bunnies out there. I think there's 250 acres as part of the camp. We're going to turn in by some of the dorms and where the main building is, but down in these woods over here is another big lodge and a camping areas for, I mean not camping, but you can see the lodge in the distance. That's the zip line over there, that big platform, and the pool and the playground and the basketball and volleyball courts. And this is the main building. These are some of the dorm rooms over there as well. They can house about 800 kids, I think. We are at Cabela's, and this...
That's bluegill. And that's a bass.
Oh, there's a bass.
Yeah.
They have big fish tanks. You can walk kind of through them on both sides. So we're going to go through there. There's more fish. And there's some pike. So gars up there. And here's some turtles. We'll go over here close here. There's some sea turtles. See if I can get in there closer. Not sea turtles? Oh, okay, they're freshwater turtles. They're turtles of an undefined... And there's another turtle and a big fish of some sort. Here's a gar, as Dave calls them. And there's two turtles. Dave says those are black crappie. I'll take his word for it. Here's a whole bunch of somethings. What are these? To me.
Because of the light.
There's a bass. Here's another bass. And there's a whole bunch of turtles again. Where's a catfish? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. There's a great big catfish. Great big catfish. We'll get, here comes one real close. And there's another catfish. Here's what it looks like inside. You can see there's aquariums. There's Dave, wave. There he is. Dave making moose ears. Oh, there's a white catfish. There he is. And there's a regular looking catfish. And there's another catfish going by.
And here is a large gar. That's going to be too dark to film. If you're into taxidermy and stuff. We got warthogs. And a water buffalo. And we got a caracal cat. More water buffalo. There's a serval. Those are pretty. This little thingy is cute. It's a steenbok. There's some guinea fowl. This is in the center of the store, and you can see that's along the top. We're going to walk around this mountain looking thing. And then there's an upstairs, that's an airplane, and a restaurant, and there's a furniture department. This is all inside that they have all this. That's a moose. These are like all different types of deer. And then there's mountain goats up top there. And longhorn sheep. And this is made to look like fall. And there's bobcat. And there's some longhorn sheep. Now we're moving into winter, and this is the polar bear section and the Arctic section. There's an Arctic wolf, and that's an Arctic fox. And these are muskox, which you can actually get wool from. And that's another Arctic fox. And now we are headed up into like the Rockies type of area. And there's a moose. And there you can see the sheep. I think those are elk. I said sheep, those are elk. And there's a moose, bullwinkle, and a waterfall. And here we have a brown bear. And this is a female moose. And there's a hare. And these are grizzly bears. And then we have the prairie here. I guess this is supposed to be the prairie. We got little prairie dogs. A whole bunch of prairie dogs. And there's something. There's a desert sheep. So I guess it's supposed to be like deserty type of areas. which is all white-tailed deer, which is what we see in our area. All kinds of deer. And there's some hunters in a cabin, but they're not taxidermied, they're just mannequins.
I tell you what, big bucks like these were even rare back in my day. But we got a few here for you. Some people say there ain't too many big ones like these around anymore. Don't believe it. Those big boys are smiling. Good luck.
And here's some other ones with huge racks. This is where all those animals were we walked around. And you can see the store over here. And then it goes over here. There's the rest of it over there.
Hey, you don't have to stand out there and watch. Come on into the laser shoot gallery and try your luck.